All right, so we finished the first part of this assignment, which is the guided notes for Chapter 2 of Engaging Questions. And even though this isn't completely filled out at this point, the previous video went ahead and guided you through each step, so you should be ready to complete that first page of the packet. The first page of the packet is focused on knowledge and comprehension, so that means you've read the contents of the textbook, and what you can do now is you can analyze and you can apply these concepts to new situations. And this is related to this idea of Bloom's taxonomy, these different levels of thinking that they build on top of each other. So you have this basis of knowledge and comprehension. You have this basis of what you learned from the textbook, and what you're going to do now is you're going to apply it and analyze it and make these new ideas. So the first question that you're asked is going to be, in your own words, describe critical thinking. And the place where you can find this is in page 12 of the textbook, Engaging Questions. If you don't have the textbook, what I've gone ahead and done is I've taken a picture of the two parts of that page and put them on Blackboard. So that way you can download it and you can read it yourself if you don't have the textbook. Or you can borrow it from a friend or something like that. But what I do recommend doing is reading this passage and then making your own summary of it and everything like that. So you've got that information available to you, so you can describe what critical reading is. So that's the first part. The second question says, for the following questions or directions from Engaging Questions, find an example of that question set of directions from the Ruskin and Shorter reading packet. For each item in the left column, you only need to give one example in the right column, but you may list more if you like. So let's look at the example that's given to us. The first one is that comes from the reading packet is, who wrote the text? When and where was it published? So that is the question, and we're not looking for the answer. What we're looking for is the question that's given in the reading packet that's just like this. It's looking for that same information. So what that means is we need to find this question comes from page 16 of the Engaging Questions, and you can find that if you have your book, you can look at page 16. You can see this question here, who wrote this text, when and where was it published? You've got these sub-questions as well. So let's go ahead and look at the reading packet and see what is asking about the authors. And you can find that the second question that is asking about the authors. And they give multiple different questions. So you can just include one or two of those questions, since question 2 is asking about the authors. It's asking a lot of information about them. So you've got that question from page 16 or this question where it's asking who wrote the text, when and where was it published. So you've got this question from page 16 in the reading that has an equivalent in the packet, and that's going to be your answer. And sure enough, it says, look at the title and look at the subtitle and the credentials of the authors. What do you think their position is on advertising? Why? So we're thinking about this information. Next, what special features does the text contain that might aid comprehension? And that's another question from page 16. What special features does the text contain that might aid comprehension? And this is another pre-reading question, so let's look in the pre-reading section of Ruskin and Shore. Question 1, what do you think is meant by the title of the article, Every Nook and Cranny? So that's not it. Probably not question 2. That's because that's about the authors and the publication in general. What's the strangest place you've ever seen advertising? No, we're just thinking about life in general. We're not thinking about the special aids within the text? Question 4, are there places that should be free from advertising? If so, what places? Nope, that's doing the same thing as the question before it. And then look at this, look at the photos from the article and read the captions. What issues of commercialization do they represent? So even though the article actually didn't have the pictures, it's still a good exercise to think about, like, what special features. So it's talking about visual presentation, such as photographs or other images, charts, graphs, boxes, sidebars, subheadings can all aid in understanding. So because we're looking for the special feature, we're looking for an equivalent of what special features does the text contain that might aid comprehension, the best answer is going to be this one. Look at the photos from the articles and read the captions. What issues of commercialization do they represent? So we're going to go ahead. I'm copying that question and I'm going to put it right here. So take away the number. So there's my answer to that one. And then here we've got this question or this command or description summarizing the reading. And if we go to page 26 of engaging questions, we can see that page 26 talks about summarizing the text, and it talks about, doing this in different parts and kind of chunking it up. So let's look and see if there's a question in the reading packet that asks us to summarize the article from Ruskin and Shore. And if we look at page 1, it doesn't do that. We couldn't have the pre-reading do that because we haven't read it. We haven't summarized it. This is when we were supposed to do the rereading. We're doing the summarizing. So here, rhetorical context, that's still even before we've done any of the reading. We can't do that. So vocabulary, nope, we should skip that. Reading 1, this is asking details about the article. This isn't really summarizing. This is responding to specific questions. Main idea activity. So this is going to be something that gives us a way to summarize the article. So I'm just going to copy this main idea. For each section below, write the main idea that section is trying to convey. Be concise and only write 1 to 2 sentences. So you can come here, you can copy it, and then you're done with that. And just going to make it normal text so that it's not all big. So we're done with 3 of the 4. Let's go ahead and do the last one. So what does that word mean? So that's going to be from, I'm even going to open up the chat. I am looking right now. I have my file buried somewhere in here. Don't worry, I'll find it. And I've got EQ chapter 1. So we've got this, and we can see that this is from page 8. So let's look at page 8. This is chapter 1. And if you need these notes, these are from week 1, day 2 on Blackboard. You can find them there. I don't have them stored on Google Drive because that takes up space on my drive, but it doesn't take up space on Blackboard. So let's go ahead and find it there on Blackboard. And here we go. We've got this question. What does that word mean? We can see it doesn't give us so much more information. So let's think about what asks us about vocabulary. So we're going to look through, and we don't have any vocabulary in the later part. Let's look at this one. So we've got all of these vocabulary words, or we've got all these vocabulary exercises. So what I'm going to do is, it's fine to just take one of these questions and find the paragraph, like just take one of these. I was just scanning through to see if there was another option that works, but just taking any of these is going to be a good answer to that, because what I'm trying to see is, can you see why we're doing this? You can look at the book, the textbook, Engaging Questions, look at these reading packets and kind of see what we're doing, what we're trying to build. So I've just gone ahead and copied the very first one where it says paragraph 3, to criticize something in a way that shows you think it has no value at all. So just copied the question there, so we have that available. So right now we've gone ahead and we've finished question 2 with the analysis and application of concepts from engaging questions. And then the last one is going to be that you have to create 2 critical thinking questions using the frames from page 8 and 9 and then provide a brief answer. So, and that means that you're asking questions about the Ruskin and Shore article. So you might need the Ruskin and Shore article, pulling that up and using that. But what you should do is go ahead and you've got these questions from page 8 and 9 in engaging questions. So what that means is you can use one of these 4. So question 1, what do I really think? 2, what does that word mean? Number 3, is that statement accurate? 4, is that statement true? What does X assume? What does X imply? Is X a good analogy? How many different kinds of X can we distinguish? What is a good example of X? What are the likely consequences of X? So let me see, do I have the article? I don't have the article, so I'm going to go ahead and grab it from my computer. You can download it again from the website, from Blackboard. That's it. So what you can do now is I've got the article here, and you're going to read through it, and you're going to think about what's interesting, what jumps out at you that you have questions about. So take a few minutes and think about what might be interesting to ask about, to think about. So you can maybe think about, what are the consequences of cutting off this funding for schools? So we've got this in paragraph 6 through 8, we're talking about funding in schools and how it's been curbed. So let's look back at the questions. So one of the questions was, what are the likely consequences of X? So that's 10. So that means you go here and you say, what are the likely consequences of, so like discouraging companies from advertising in schools. So actually, in some cases they weren't discouraging, they were prohibiting companies from advertising in schools. So now you have to kind of come up with your own answer. So think about, what would you respond to this? So it's possible that there might be some drawbacks, such as schools losing some funding. However, I think that overall there will be more benefits, such as school being less distracting and because of fewer ads, and healthier place because there will be less junk food. Okay, so that's just a really quick one, but read through, find the things that stick out to you that you think you have questions about, and create a question using the frames with these different frames here in engaging questions, and ask these questions about the Ruskin and Shore article. Find something that you may not even have an answer for and just give your best answer for it. So that's going to be the homework with the chapter 2 of engaging questions. Good luck.